Hey guys, how you doing? What's happening there, Rona man? Hey, this topic today is one of my favorite topics actually, and I got thinking about this. Hey, NYC Korean MGTOW. How did I know you'd be on? Yeah, I was thinking. I don't know if you guys ever heard this saying. I'm sure every country has a saying like this, but I like the Japanese one the best. Sumeba Miyako. And that means to me, my translation is that wherever you live is the emperor's palace. And a lot of translations, if you look online, they'll say something like, everywhere you live is the capital. But everybody that I ever talk to basically takes it the other way. And I take it the other way. You know, it's like, man, you know, I wanted to make this video. The reason why is because so many guys are asking about Thailand and they're saying like, you know, like, you got to move to Thailand. I got to do this. And what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And I wanted to tell you more what I think. I've lived in a lot of different countries. I've traveled to over 50 countries. I've lived in many countries. And I just wanted to kind of give you my take because I'm different than the guys who are here for the first time, right? Like Chris just got here. He's having a great time. A lot of guys are, you know, like coming to Thailand for short term, came for the convention, and you just have a different. Hey, Black Eagle, man. Hey, thank you so much, man, for during the convention, for sending the donation. That was really nice of you, man. That was really nice. And yeah, so you know, like a lot of, I guess what I'm saying is the short term view of Thailand and any country and the long term view are not necessarily the same because you mature over time and you change over time, right? And you have different, dude, that was really nice of you, man. You know, you have different viewpoints. I wanted to give you my viewpoint because when we're doing the videos, I often let people just, you know, like everyone's talking about how they feel about it, right? And I wanted to say what I think is like, man, for me, like, let me turn this music off here. For me, like, there is no perfect place, you guys. There's no perfect place. You know, I think, you know, I think one of the keys in life is to be happy wherever you are. I know that sounds corny, but it's not. It's really deep, actually. Because if you're happy where you are, if you find happiness wherever you live right now, it's very easy to find happiness in another place, right? But if you're unhappy where you are now, it's very difficult to find happiness somewhere else, you know, and it's really true. Like when you hear people like complaining about where they are all the time, and it reminds me of this saying, which is you know, the guy, it's an old story from the desert, and the traveler comes up to the old man. He's sitting on this sand dune, and he asks him. He says, "Hey, what are the people like in that city down there?" He points down to the city, and he said, "Well, what are they like where you came from?" And he said, "Well, where I came from, they were all bastards, and they were like assholes and this and that." And the old man said, "Oh yeah, they're the same here, you know." And then another traveler comes up, you know, and he says the same question. He says to the old man, he says, "What are the people like in this city? You know, what are they like down there?" And he said, "Oh, what are they like where you're from?" And he goes, "Oh, they're super cool. They always help each other. You know, everybody like pitches in, you know, and people are happy, right?" And he said, yeah, they're the same here. Right? Because we create our own reality wherever we are, you know. And so, you know, and I'm not saying this is like, I really, truly believe this. This is really true, you guys. Like, you can't escape who you are and where you are. So if you find yourself like hating all the people around you, wherever you go, that will follow you, because it's something in your viewpoint is not seeing things correctly, right? And it reminds me of whenever I meet somebody. When I meet somebody, like let's say for example, I'm in let's say China, and I meet somebody and they say, let's say a Chinese person, and they're talking really bad about local Chinese people, and they say, "Oh, foreigners are so much more fun," blah blah blah. I secretly know that person will turn on me in the future. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't like the people around them. So they fantasize that foreigners are going to be completely different, right? And so they say, "Oh, you know, I don't like the people around me, but I like you guys over there, you guys far away." right? And I've learned this through hard experience, is that anybody who doesn't like their own country's people can never like me. Because in the end, they have some kind of problem with some kind of human problem, inability to get along with other humans, right? So be very careful when you start to think about your life and you start to think about what you think about everything. Whether it's whatever it is, it's like your viewpoint is actually not that different when you go to another location. So if you really like accept yourself, and as I'm not saying I'm not saying that we don't all have flaws and we don't like work through stuff and like things are difficult. Life is fucking difficult, man. I mean, I'm not saying it is like difficult and you can get screwed over and I've lost businesses. I've had businesses stolen from me. I've been cheated in business deals a million times and, been disappointed, disappointed with things that people did, friends, but none of that really affected my view that much because I don't know how I look at it like with an optimistic viewpoint, but I guess for me, like I'm happy to be alive. Like I really feel like, the odds of us being alive are so low, and like we shouldn't be here basically. The earth is not like bought from Walmart. There's no guarantee. Like tomorrow, like literally tomorrow, or today, right now during this video, some kind of asteroid could come and destroy the planet. Like it happened before. That's what a lot of people think that destroyed the dinosaurs. It was either some kind of super volcano or an asteroid that caused massive change to the environment and killed the dinosaurs. So there's no guarantee. I just feel like you really have to like understand that. If you understand that, it's easier to, hey, yeah, Eddie was so awesome. Oh, the convention was awesome. And Chris and I are planning new ones. We're planning on, by the way, doing more conventions and get-togethers in the U.S. So right now, Chris and I are kind of like brainstorming, and we're thinking of like several cities getting guys together. So that's kind of the plan. We still have to flesh it out a bit and roll it out, but that's kind of like that's seriously in the cards. We're right now seriously planning that. So just so you guys know that this was not a one-time thing, and it's not just a Thailand thing. We want to do. I feel now safe that we can do meetings anywhere. There was nobody. Yeah, exactly, man. There was no New York. Okay, yeah, West Coast, right? There was no. I mean, there was no doxing. There was no hatred, man. There was just like learning and growing and sharing. Like it was like, dude, it was like amazing actually. I mean, I guess every movement in the beginning, you get the most sincere guys in the beginning, and you guys that are listening are some of the very core of the whole. Like whatever you call it. Some people say don't call it a movement. There's not that many English words. I got to choose one. Whenever you have a bunch of people doing something, it's kind of a movement, right? It's kind of a group. It's a philosophy that people share and that have in common, right? So I think that you guys are the center of that, whatever you call that, movement, MGTOW, whatever, generation or whatever, But so like I want to meet all you guys. Like I'd love to do like more meetups, and meet more people, bring more people in, and start to, I think we're just starting basically. The ideas that we're having, it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Band of Brothers. That's it, man. That is it. It's like, that is it. Fucking Band of Brothers. That is the closest thing there, AK. Fucking Band of Brothers. That's how I feel. I don't feel like even that, that was one thing I got from the convention, is that I realized that everybody has different viewpoints. Some guys were married. Some guys wanted to get divorced. Some guys were divorced and they had been, divorce raped. Other guys had just been single most of their life. There was all types of guys. And I realized like the movement, as we get together and we started meeting each other, there'll be so much growth, right? And more honesty too, because it's easy to be kind of like, I don't know, like kind of like, what do you call it? Like macho, right? I don't care, man, that kind of thing, right? And I think I think that can only go so far. And I know guys, like we as guys, we tend to do that. We like that, right? This kind of like macho thing. But in the end, you can't base your life on some kind of a false idea, right? So I think that there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of depth. Men have a lot of depth, and there's a lot of emotion, and there's seriously a lot of camaraderie. And so I think that we're going to create some very, very awesome things. And Chris is like super excited too. And we both were just like absolutely blown away. Like we were blown away by the camaraderie that happened. And we still don't even understand it. Like what is it that drives all these guys to want to get together and hang out? What's up, MGTOW Mischief? Yeah, morning. Yeah, it's definitely morning over here. I'm thinking of making a big change in my life. I've been living here for a long time, and I might, Chris and I, like I said, we were planning on a tour of the U.S., so I might be going to the U.S. for a period of time. We'll see what happens. That's kind of my plan right now, and to start to work on some long-term stuff. For me, I've lived, like I said, I've lived in many countries, and I loved them all, to be honest. I loved them all. You know what I mean? It's kind of like friends and girls. Like I basically loved them all. Like, you know what I mean? I enjoy life. Like when I meet people, it's like, oh yeah, there's something to gain. There's something to give. There's something beneficial, and I really relish that, right? Yeah, I used to live in Southern California. I won't say exactly where, but I've been to Korea. Yep, I've been to Korea a few times. I was in Seoul quite a few times, because here in Asia, like it's just easy to go to Seoul. Like there's always a cheap ticket to Seoul. You know what I mean? Like people are always kind of going to Seoul, and you kind of sometimes you're flying through Seoul. So yeah, I ended up in Incheon and Seoul, and but I've never lived in Korea, so I've never been. It's never been my home. Whereas like China, Japan, India, Thailand. And I even spent some serious time in Hong Kong and the Philippines. So I've kind of been around, And liberal cesspools. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, when I tell you something, I'll tell you a story about how I thought about like life when I was in Japan. I remember when I was in Tokyo, and I had a very relaxed life in Tokyo, actually. Even though I had a business and like a lot of things going on, I remember I can't do landscape mode because when I don't know what it is about live, but when you start the video, it automatically goes to this view. And then when I try to switch it back, it won't let me switch back once you start going live. But either way, so in Tokyo, I remember I would get together with people and they would tell me, Tokyo is so stressful. They feel like it's just like such a rat race and this and that. And I remember thinking like, why, I guess my question is this, is how much does the outside world affect you? And how much do you live in your own world? For me, I had my own world in Tokyo. Every weekend I would try to get out of town. I'd go to the beach. And so I didn't live in the same world these other motherfuckers lived in, basically. These guys were living in a high stress environment, and people were pushing them around or whatever. They felt like their boss was making them do this or that. I didn't live in that world in Tokyo, So it was like, I think, look at the things that you say and look at the things that you think, and always like think like, is this true for everybody or is this just true for me? And if it is just true for me and I don't like it, how can I change it, right? Because I lived in Tokyo and I was very relaxed there, man. I had a nice, relaxing life most of the time. There was times when I had like 2 companies at once, and I had stress about money, and I had somebody rip me off once, and then things happened. But overall, like I remember jogging every morning, like running. I'd go running along the river, and then I would get out to the beach. So I was not in Tokyo during the weekends. So that like relieved a lot of stress for me. So I kind of found ways to make Tokyo a relaxing place for me. So I would be going around. Yeah, it's so true. Life is 90% mental. I'd be going around the stations and everything. And when you first get to Japan, there's a lot of people, right? So it does bother you in the beginning. You're like, hey, JP, what's going on, man? I would feel stressed. So if you go to Tokyo, you'll be in a train and it'll be so crowded. You'll be super stressed, and you can't imagine that you wouldn't be stressed. But what happens is your mind gets used to whatever you're around. So if you're in a train with like people super crowded, if you look at the Japanese people, they're not stressed at all. I mean, in the train, they're just basically, they're almost like living in their own world. So you learn to block out things as a human being. You learn to block out all the people, and you just kind of, you're in your own little world. So you got your headphones on, and you're sitting there on the train, and you're watching something on YouTube or whatever, you know, and you're not even noticing all the people. And then when some people would come visit me, they'd be all stressed out, like, how can you live like this? It's so crowded, right? And you know, and I was like, oh, I guess it is crowded, yeah, because I'd be like shoved up against people. But after a while, it doesn't. You just kind of don't even notice it. It's like, oh, okay, you're right. Oh, it is crowded, but it doesn't affect you emotionally. So watch out for your short-term reaction and then your long-term reaction, right? Because long-term, you're not going to have the same reaction. So like, as I watch Chris, you know, enjoy Thailand, enjoy what he's finding out here, I'm going to watch his journey as he slowly starts to see Thailand from a short-term to a mid-term to a long-term perspective, right? If he stays here, right? So we all go through that. So beware. You know, for me, like, where I live is more about me, and it's more about what I'm doing. Yeah. Chris told me he was going to go live. You know, it's more about me and what I'm doing than other people or even the people around me. Although short-term, it does affect me, right? Yeah, vacation mode is so different, right? Living and vacation mode. And then, but there's even more than that. There's really more than that. Because like I said, like you can pick 3 expats in let's say Thailand, and you ask them, what do you think about Thai people? Somebody will say, oh, they're really bad. Some people will say, oh, I don't have any friends in Thailand. Somebody will say it's really hard to meet people. Or somebody will say, oh, they're super nice. Everyone's going to have a different opinion, right? Even long-termers, right? You know what I mean? So we all live in our own worlds, you know? And like I say, you know, you determine your own happiness. And I don't mean that like metaphorically. I mean like really. Like you really do. You really, really do. You know, and other people do too. So you can watch it in other people. So watch other people. That's the best way I think that's kind of one of the best ways to learn is to watch other people, you know? Watch how they react to things, you know? Like I had a job once before I went overseas. I was saving money, and I worked in this job, and it was kind of a painful like job. Like everybody was short term. You know, nobody was. I don't know. People weren't that committed. You know, a lot of shit was going on. Like, you know, we were just like getting paid overtime, and everybody's trying to make as much money as possible. And a lot of people were having sex on the job and stuff. And I think most people that I worked with at that job, this is like way back before I left to Asia. They were unhappy, you know. But for me, all I was doing in my mind, all I was doing is saving money to go overseas. So I was happy as hell because my goal was super clear. You know, my goal was like, I'm going to make as much money as I can. I'm going to save as much money, and I'm going to get the hell out of here, right? So it wasn't a permanent thing for me, right? So that job was very enjoyable for me, and it was kind of fun for me to see a swath of humanity kind of doing their own thing, right? Because I had different goals, right? I had a different plan, right? You know, I have friends that write books, right? And they might have shitty jobs, but in their minds, they're planning on being the next Stephen King. So the job doesn't even bother them. They're like, okay, whatever, yeah. I got to get this book done. You know, they're not even like thinking about it. Whereas other people, the job, they see that their future is like total shit. They're always going to be doing the same thing. Everyone's going to push them around. They have no power. You know, they're going to have a different viewpoint, right? So, you know, like it's part of what you think about things. And it's also, a lot of it is what you plan and what you do, right? So you can do the same job. You can have the same friends, and you can be completely different depending on what your goals are, you know? A lot of my friends, when they go through big changes in life, they suddenly realize that life can be, you know, pretty cool for them, right? You guys have any questions? Like I saw the comments and stuff, but any comments, or what do you guys think about that? Like, be happy where you are, man. Like, and start to look at your life. Like that's what I'm doing now, because I'm thinking of making a pretty big change actually, and we'll see how it goes, you know, but. The thing is that change is like a renewal, you know, like a tree. Like you see these trees out here, right? You always see the gardener coming out here and cutting off the branches, right? You know, and do you miss spending time with women? Change is a new start. What's your favorite food? My favorite food, you know, I basically like unprocessed food. So I don't consider food to be the most important thing in life. Like I have friends that, they will spend like huge money to go and eat a very special, chef's food or something like that. To me, I think the most important thing is my body and my health. So if I had a choice of like a beautiful French meal or a pile of vegetables, most of the time I'm going to choose the vegetables, because in the end, it's like building my body. Whereas like the French food has all this sauces and oils and stuff. And sure, it's good and everything, but it's not. And once in a while, it is good to have a change. I mean, you know what I mean? But 90% of the time, I just want to eat vegetables. I don't drink at all now. And I did drink. So, but for me, like food is like, it's very similar to, food is, it's like rocket fuel or gasoline for a car, right? I think the vegan lifestyle, I'm not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian, but I always try to go that way in a way. And it's just simply the same reason why I talked about abortion. I don't like the idea of taking a baby and like ripping it apart. That's a little thing, like sensitive creature that will become a human being if I let it keep going. I don't like that idea. And the same thing, I don't like the idea of like beating a cow or electrocuting a cow and eating it. But I still do eat meat, but I don't like the idea. And I'm kind of like I'm hoping that there's going to be some kind of breakthrough in the laboratory where they'll be making meat in laboratories. And I think they will for a reasonable price fairly soon. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, because it's difficult for me to stop meat. I want to stop, but I don't know. I haven't been able to fully stop, but I do eat much less meat than I used to eat. Living in Japan really helped me to eat less meat, because they don't eat that much meat, right? Yeah, it's true. Having the courage to make changes, major changes. Yeah, I think it's good. I eat 6 eggs daily. Let's see. Do you eat eggs? I do eat eggs, and I consider eggs. My basic philosophy is to eat, to avoid the smartest animals. So for example, like a pig is like really smart. If you watch any on YouTube, pigs are basically as smart as dogs, or even smarter. Pigs are super smart. So I try to avoid pig because it's more closer to me. It's closer to a human. So I'm like, if I can avoid a pig, like if there's chicken or pork, and the chicken is not nearly as smart as a pig, right? Not nearly as smart. So I'm gonna choose a chicken every time. And if there's bugs, like like I've seen, I've eaten bugs, I've eaten grasshoppers and stuff, and that kind of stuff. They have the smallest brains, and so I prefer eating those ones. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I'm kind of slowly going towards that way. But the smarter an animal is, like a dolphin or a pig, they're too smart. All right, man. Yeah, thanks for Danzer. Thanks for being on. Yeah, bye from SoCal. All right, cool, man. Going to work late. Pretty. Both my ex-wives. Yeah. See you, man. Yeah. So I think that's my philosophy. I want to be a vegan. I'm kind of a little bit of a vegetarian vegan. I'm a little bit of a hypocrite on this one because I haven't completely gone that way. But it's like that's where I'm at. I don't drink at all. I kind of made that change. What's the big change? Well, I'm thinking of moving to the States for a period of time because I want to, with Chris, I want to do the events in the U.S. and I have some other stuff that I'm going to lay on you guys later. But basically, I'm thinking about moving. I'm thinking about temporarily or maybe even permanently going to the U.S. So we'll see. I'll get you guys updated. You guys will be, you guys will see all the what I'm doing. But because I do, we'll do videos, so you guys will know right away what I'm up to. But I don't know, man. Life's a fucking journey, man. It's a journey, and nothing wrong with being in Bangkok, man. Bangkok is awesome, man. It is, It is. Bangkok is a nice place, man. It really is. Burning Man. Oh man, I went to Black Eagle. I went to a festival in India. That was very similar to Burning Man. It was so fun out in Goa. Oh man, it was great. There was like 4,000 people there. So fun. Crazy. India India, they didn't have any, like, there's no police bothering you at this event. I guess they're paid off or whatever, but they were not bothering this event. So we just had so much fun. It was so free. It was so free, right? Pennsylvania, that's where you are. Okay. Looks like we're hearing some cities. Yeah. So make sure these comments are in the comment box. Yeah, you guys, any I don't know if these comments that you guys are leaving now, I don't think they stay on when the video goes live. I don't think they stay on. So make sure you put the cities that you want to do an event in the comment box once this thing is live, because then we can start to plan, because I want to do it where you guys are, right? I want to do it where everybody is, where we can do, meet up and do cool stuff, right? So yeah. So Thailand there's no perfect place. I was in Japan. It was awesome, and actually growing up in the States was awesome too. When I was a kid, skateboarding and fucking, breaking into people's houses and using skateboarding in the pool, and California. I lived all over the place, but because we traveled a lot, because my dad didn't have any money, right? So we lived in a trailer park in Arizona. Lived all over the fucking place, and it was kind of like me and my brother. We're kind of like the MGTOW. We're like the MGTOW crew, Me and my brother, we were like tight, And even today, like, we're super tight. Me and my brother are super tight, man. And I think siblings, as I get older, I think siblings are so important. It's like, don't burn the people that are the longest. You know what I mean? The longest friends and the longest, deepest relationships. It's like, they don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. My brother and I, man, we have fucking really come together in the last couple of years. I mean, we were always tight. We were always friends. But it was like in the last couple of years, I don't know, maybe we're all becoming adults and like, yeah, trailer park MGTOW boys. Oh yeah, I was in a trailer park. And I tell you, there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with people that they judge people by where they live, What the hell's wrong with people? Like, really? Seriously? Does it really make a difference? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I got friends I got very, very wealthy friends, and I have friends that don't have any money at all. It's like, am I really going to judge these guys based on where they live? Like, is that really like a key thing for people? I just don't even get that at all, because you might live in many different kinds of places, right? So I guess your value changes every day, right? It's like one day you stay in a nice hotel, the next day you stay in a cheap place, and then you're like a good or a bad guy, right? It doesn't make any sense, Oh, okay, you slept in your Jeep, right. Yeah, watching Chris go from where he was to where he is was really great for me too. I was fucking stoked to be a part of that. And helped him get a soft landing here in Thailand. And no, dude, living in your car, man, there's nothing wrong with living anywhere, you guys. Just a few years ago, humans didn't even have houses, right? Yeah, men's shelter, right? That's a shelter. That's a building. We didn't even have buildings, man. There was no heat. There was no air conditioner. There was no buildings just a few years ago, boys. Like right now, you could live in a homeless shelter and it's like better than a king's palace back 200 years ago. It's much safer and much cleaner and much, nicer, right? Back in the old days, man, there was diseases everywhere. People were dying all over the place. In 1900, the average age in India was 25 years old. People died at 25 in 1900. Think about that, man. 25 years old in the whole country of India. Huge country, right? And it's the same in Western countries too. The Black Plague rolled through Europe in, 1300s or whatever, Like, people just didn't live very long, Life is good today, man. I don't judge people where they live, and I don't judge myself either, As I go through life, I've done a lot of stuff, So don't judge yourself. I think that's the key thing, you guys. If you live in a car for a while, or you whatever, live in a van, or you fucking live in a shelter, it's like, this is just not important to me. It's more like what is in your brain. Like, what are you planning on doing with your life? Like, what do you want to do? What are you learning about what you want to, you know what I mean? Like, where are you at mentally? I think that's the key thing. Two guys can be in a completely different, like, for example, actors. There's so many people that became famous, right? like Sylvester Stallone, right? That was living a total shit life. And then he wrote, by everybody's standards, society standards, right? And then he wrote Rocky, and then, he, gave it to 1 million people. Nobody wanted to do it because he demanded that he was going to be in the movie, right? And then it turns out, the movie was one of the biggest hits of all time, right? So was he this loser who became a winner, or was he a winner the whole time? I went to Philadelphia and I stood by the I did of course everybody does it, but I did the pose there up the stairs, and over by the Rocky statue, made a video and stuff. And it's like, I was just thinking about him, I could relate to that guy. I could relate to that guy actually, punching the meat and shit, it's like, it's all about where you're at in your mind. Don't let anybody judge you, and don't judge yourself, man. Like if you live in a car, if you live in a car for a period of time, it's like, dude, like a car is like fucking a palace compared to the way humans lived just a few years ago. So don't judge yourself, and have your eye on what you want to do next, right? What's your next plan? Like, where are you going next? What's your next thing, right? You want to try Thailand? Fucking A. Nothing wrong with that. I lived here. I can tell you can easily live in Thailand. If you're smart, you can easily live here for $1,000 a month. And I think that's one of the big advantages of places like that, like Thailand, is that they're still inexpensive. And now they can be expensive. Some people, you can also live a very good life here, like as far as like eating steaks and lobster, good food, great restaurants. There's a lot of good food. And, you can live a very high class lifestyle in Thailand too. And that's good too. It's actually good here to both, like at the bottom level and the higher level, both good, man, Yeah, thieves, yeah. People stealing stuff, yeah. I think, I agree with you, man. I think crime and stuff like that bothers me the most, I don't like to be around violent crime especially. That's why I moved to Thailand instead of the Philippines, because the Philippines has a lot of violent crime. And I like the Philippines. I love Filipinos. I spent some time there. I spent some serious time there. I've traveled all over the Philippines. I've been all over Mindanao. Not Mindanao, the Visayas. I've been all over Palawan, top to bottom, and seen like so many islands. Everything from, I was at the Ate-Atehan Festival, Iloilo, and the other festival. There's like another, it's kind of like a Burning Man type of thing back in the day. That was quite fun. That was super fun actually. But there's violent crime there, So I personally, like, that's my line. I like to live. I'm happy living anywhere, but I don't like violent crime. I think violent crime like kind of upsets you at a deep level, and it's not necessary. If I had to live in a place that was super violent, I would find a way to deal with it, and I would talk to other guys who have some kind of internal peace, and I would figure it. I would figure it out. But you have choices in life. You don't have to live here and there. You don't have to live in a dangerous place, And I think make wise choices. Wherever you are, Sumeba Miyako, right? It's the fucking emperor's palace for you, right? But also, you got to think, what options do I have, and why am I not taking these options? Okay, I saw that somebody asked where were my favorite women and which country. For me, I think I don't think that there are, a type of person that is better or worse. I think there's kind of periods in life. So, like in the 60s, we had the sexual revolution in the U.S. And I think that was probably a pretty damn good time. The hippies, those guys were having a goddamn good time. Woodstock, people were opening up sexually, and there was a lot of action going on in the U.S. And I think that, like America was a place to be in the 60s, man. I'm telling you, like everybody, London was the other place, but like that was the happening. America was the happening place, you guys. Like right now, America's not popular, right, in the world, but it was in the 60s, man. In the 60s, America was the place to be, man. Whether you're talking about music or business or free lifestyle or creativity or, anything, man, or girls, sex. America was the place to be in the 60s, like really. And even in the early 70s was really the fucking place to be. So I think that it's not like women are permanent. They're not the same. I think if you want to, I feel the same way. Like I'd love to travel back in time to the 60s and 70s. Now, I was alive then, but I was young. You know what I mean? I was very young. I was born in 65, right? So I wasn't at Woodstock. I wasn't in all that kind of stuff. And California was fucking awesome in the 60s and 70s. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Don't let people put down your place, man. It's total bullshit, you know? Total bullshit. So things change. So I think that growing up in the U.S. in the 70s was pretty awesome for me, you know? And what's up, man? It was pretty damn awesome. And then when I went to Japan, they were having their own sexual revolution at the time. And they were having an economic bubble. And it was like there was money everywhere. Everybody was optimistic. People were stoked, you know, and because there was kind of an opening up to the country too. There was an excitement. Yeah, oh yeah, Japan in the 70s. Oh man, I wish I could have been there in the 70s. Oh, you know, it was so fucking awesome. I got friends who were there, and they tell me stories that are just out of control. I mean, seriously out of hand, you know. So, and when I was there, which was basically from about 1990, it was fucking awesome, you know. But I know Japan is now a very different place. You know, at the time, the girls were very open. What I like is not so much a race of girls or type of girls. It's more of a attitude or an outlook, kind of like what I'm talking about here. You know, we create our own reality, right? So when girls are in that kind of like, I don't know, just there's something that there's something when people are optimistic and open-minded and loving that can be very fucking awesome, you know, and adventurous, you know. I think that's another thing I really value is adventurous, you know, adventurous people that are willing to take a fucking risk, you know. So, you know, I think Japan was really awesome back in the day. It really was. It was great for me back in the day, you know. I wouldn't say women were more beautiful back then. Let's see. It depends on where you're talking about. If you're talking about Japan has gone turtle, man. Big time, big time, big time. That is so fucking true. I think that, yeah, I mean, if you look at the 60s, okay, go back when you finish this call, you know, go back and look online, Google Images and search hippies 60s, and then look at how skinny and attractive everybody was back then. You know, even if you search like riots 1960s, and then search riots 2008, 17, it's amazing the difference. You know, like now when you look at rioters, there's like sloppily dressed and like overweight, and they look like they're going to have a heart attack throwing a rock, you know what I mean? Like they look unhealthy, right? And I'm even talking about Venezuela or anywhere in the world, not even just the US, you know, could be anywhere. And in the 60s, you look at them and they were all healthy. And you guys, I mean, the thing is like your physical body affects your mental state. I don't know why nobody talks about this, but your physical body is you. It's not like you have this like mental body and then you have physical, and then like and spiritual, they're different. They're fucking all the same. You have one body. It's all connected to everything. Your brain is part of your body, right? And your brain, how you treat your brain and what you eat and what you exercise and how healthy you keep yourself affects your fucking thinking, right? Of course, right? So it's you know, like I said on the TFM show, if you're ever in doubt, like let's say you live in your car and you're having a really hard time in life, or you got fucked over big time, what you got to do is focus on your body. You know what I mean? If you don't know what to do in life, focus on your body. Get your body in shape, because that will take the body and the mind will follow, basically. Get yourself healthy and your mind will clean up. You'll start to think of new ideas, right? You know, and you'll start to get new plans and get more in touch with yourself. Yeah, Brazilian women, I mean, definitely. I've never been to Brazil, but I got a lot of friends who have spent time down there, and they're huge fans. Huge fans of Brazil. You know, there's definitely, I mean, you guys, travel is the shit, man. Travel is awesome. I'm not going to say it's everything, though, because I think, you know, someone like Elon Musk or somebody like, somebody that's got a plan and a goal that is rolling it out, they could live in one country and they could be totally happy, right? You know, they could have a great life because they're focused. It all depends on what's inside your mind, right? If you're building Facebook or Google in your mind, or if you're building something great like we're building with MGTOW, you know, a group of guys, then it doesn't matter really where you live, because you're you're so happy that you are thank you. Yeah, North Korean MGTOW, thank you. That you're building something, and so you feel this optimism, and you see the goal that you're reaching for. You're not looking at it like, what are the details of what's around me, right? You're thinking like, where am I going, right? So that's what I would say to that. Any other questions there? You guys, it's a nice day here. And this might be my last day for a long time. So I'm flying out tonight to the U.S. So I will be gone and planning on looking at pretty permanent or semi-permanent, looking to eat healthy, but it's no easy task. You have to, I don't know, with eating, I could do another video on eating. I don't fucking eat what everybody else eats, man. I don't give a fuck. I have shit in my bag. I have vegetables in my bag at all times and oatmeal and stuff like that. And I just eat them whenever I want to eat them. And I don't think, like if you guys meet me, you guys might want to go eat at some restaurant. And I might just want to eat my vegetables and then meet you afterwards for coffee. Because I think food is like super important. So I'm not going to eat just shit food just to be with friends. I like to eat good food. I like to put good food in my body, and then I love fellowship, So I might, like I said, I might go get ice cream. I like ice cream, or I might get coffee or whatever with my friends out. But eating I consider like almost sacred, I will break my rules, definitely, and it depends on if it's a group. Like when you guys, when everybody was over for the convention, we were eating out a lot, and that was great, Do a podcast in West Coast, very possible. I'm going to actually be on the West Coast around Christmas time, so hit me up and we could do a podcast. Very possible. Farmers markets in the summer. Yeah, don't believe the press, man. The press always says, here's what the press always says, is that vegetables are too expensive, poor people can't afford them, the government has to subsidize everything, and then this is the kind of mantra, is that there's always like a lot of anger, and basically the government has to get involved with everything, otherwise things are completely fucked and everybody's evil and everybody's fucking patriarchy and all this bullshit. Vegetables are not expensive, guys. The dollar store, there's like tons of vegetables at the dollar store. They're from Mexico. There's nothing wrong with those fucking vegetables. Nothing wrong with them at all. What do you think is in the fucking food you buy at the restaurants, right? They're buying the cheapest vegetables they can buy, right? It's total fear-mongering. Sloppy bukkake, totally, man. It's fucking total fear-mongering, and it's also lack of creativities. Phoenix, Vegas, yep, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Vegas, I'm thinking Los Angeles, I'm thinking New York, and some other cities. So, and Vancouver would be pretty awesome, yep. $15 a week on 7 days of vegetables. Wow, dude, that's amazing. That is really cool. Hey, put in JP. Put in what you buy and where you buy it. After this video goes permanent online, I'd love to hear your specifics about food, like how you know what I mean, like what you picked and what you planned, right? Amish, right. That's it, man. That's the attitude. Agua Cafe is like going in and like learning from other guys, right? When someone has a good idea, man, just fucking learn from them, right? I mean, growing your own produce is good. Southern cooking, yeah. Eddie Imperial, man, I know. It's one of the hardest things is breaking away from comfort foods. When I moved overseas, I had to stop eating comfort foods because the foods that I ate back in the States didn't exist when I went to Japan. They literally didn't exist because I left the States before the internet, you guys. I mean, when I left the States, Ronald Reagan was president. That's the last time I lived in the States. Ronald Reagan was fucking president. So back then we didn't have many choices, there was no, but now there's so many choices. And like even in Japan, like you can get Western diet, like no problem, you can eat your whatever your comfort foods are. But that was good for me because it forced me not to eat those foods and it forced me to try new things. Japan forced me. I didn't have a choice. Yeah, there was late for you. Apparently, I think so. I was there, I think. It was pretty good. So, break away from those foods that, I tell you something, like this is what I talked about in another episode, but like people that live in an area where there's a lot of Muslims, they tend to be Muslim. People that live in a Christian area tend to be Christian, right? People that live in a liberal area tend to be liberal. People that live in a conservative area tends to be conservative because we're fucking sponges, you guys. Human beings ping off of other people. I'm not saying that in a bad way or a good way. I'm just saying that's the way it is. We ping off other humans, man. That's the way we are. So because of that, wherever you grew up, if there was shit food there, you ate that food, right? And you eat that food. But take a serious look at yourself. Maybe you don't resonate with that food that you think you resonate with. I personally have given it up. I don't need anything. I don't need any food I got no comfort food anymore. I really don't. I like chocolate, I like chocolate. I think it picks up my mood a bit. And I like coffee, but there's no comfort foods for me. I think comfort foods are for fucking SJWs, to be honest. I think it's bullshit. It's total bullshit. That's my take. When I eat good food, I feel good and my brain works well, right? And I think that's much more important than eating whatever I had when I was younger. So I would say go ahead and break off, or at least look at yourself. Like, let's say you're from the South, right? You said you're from the South, right? So, they had whatever fried foods and potatoes and all that shit, right? So you got used to it. Whenever you want to change, start watching other people. Watch Chinese. When they go overseas, they can only eat Chinese food, right? And you'll see them making even noodles inside of the like the water heater for coffee and tea. They'll be making noodles because they can't change, right? And then watch other people. Watch how they can't change and how kind of pathetic it is in a way. If you watch other people, it makes it easier for you to change because you see yourself in the same light. You're like, why am I like this? Like, watch other people, watch foreigners where they can't eat whatever you eat. Like, they can't enjoy like local things because they're so stuck on their home food. I think that's like a good thing. Is that when you watch other people, it helps you learn about yourself, right? Oh yeah, Goya's awesome, man. Bitter gourd, man. Absolutely. Cannibalism is illegal. People are creatures of habit. Fuck habit, dude. Fuck habit. Like really, fuck habit. Make yourself a new habit. Make yourself a fucking new habit. Basically, you're MGTOW, man. You're going your own way. Go your own way with food, man. Make a long-term goal to go your own way with food. And I don't mean that like you're going to follow my way. What I'm saying is like you're probably, if you're like a normal person, you're probably going the way of the fucking idiots that live around you. Like the SJWs doing their fucking, you know what I mean? Like they're like robots just doing whatever they were programmed to do, right? And you're not like that. You're like, fuck that. I don't want to be a robot. You know what I mean? I want to make my own decisions about stuff, Like what can I fucking do? Like I don't care what people think. So I'll sit there, like I like to eat fish with my hands, right? I can eat with chopsticks, and I can debone a fish with chopsticks. And whenever I do it, I blow away people because I can use the chopsticks backwards and forwards. I can use both hands too, right and left. I can eat a fish with both hands, chopsticks. I can pick up any kind of oily this or oily that. But at the same time, I think it creates arthritis long term in your hand. So I was in India for quite a period of time. And they eat with their hands, and I like that. So I'll sit there and use my hands to eat fish, because I thought it was when I watched the Indians eat fish with their hands and take out the bones. I always thought that was the most rational way. So I basically don't give a shit. I'll eat fish with my hands, and I basically eat like a Chinese guy, in the sense that when I'm eating something, I eat down to the bone, right? Sometimes I even eat the bones. Like I'll chew up the bones and get the marrow from inside. I was in a French restaurant in Southern California with my parents, and I was eating, like I ordered this, it was something with a big bone, right? I can't remember what it was, but it was like this French country cooking, right? And I was eating it, and I just started just munching it down. I was just munching it down. I was chewing down the bones up and stuff. And my mom said, do you realize like everybody in the restaurant is looking at you, And I was like, holy shit, I looked around and everybody was looking at me. It was like a really expensive French restaurant, right? And I was the only guy who was eating the food all the way. But that's the way I live. I want to suck the marrow out of life. You know what I mean? It's not just the food. And I really don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you something. I tell you something. This is really true. This is crazy, but I swear to God, this is crazy. I've never said this before, but I've never even heard this before, but it's really true. Is when I'm eating, like when I was like really on the rampage with girls, I would be eating, and the way that I eat turns girls on. I swear to God. I swear to God. I swear to God. I can be sitting there just like, just munching. I'm eating like, I'm not really making that noise, but you know what I mean? I'm like, fucking, I'm really eating. Like I relish whatever I'm eating. I enjoy it, you know, and I eat it down to the bone, right? And I've really noticed that so many times I'll have, girls will stop and say, wow, that looks really delicious. Cause like the way I'm eating, right? In Japan, they got a lot of food shows and they watch, you know, they always film people eating. They're like, oh, oishi, oishi. You know, they're always talking about food and eating food on TV. It's like, I swear to God, 50% of the TV shows in Japan seem to be about food. Anybody that lives there will fucking definitely agree with that. Or it's a very high percentage, right? And so there's something sexy about somebody who devours life, you know, who really enjoys life. You know what I mean? Not like a fucking caveman, but just enjoys it. Like sucks it and licks it and eats it. You know what I mean? That's the way I like to eat. You know, I like to eat stuff and just fully eat it. And that's the way I look at life too, you know. It's not just food, right? It's just like everything. That's the way I look at everything, you know. When I'm in a good place, sometimes I bite my cheek actually, but you know, it's like, you know, enjoy life, man. Enjoy life, you know, eat it, man. Enjoy it, man. Fucking relish life, you know. It's like, you know, people think and what people do doesn't really matter to me that much, you know. And if I stand out because the way I eat or whatever, you know, it's like, don't really give a fuck, you know. Some people are going to be turned on by it, some people are turned off, like whatever, you know, really. It doesn't really matter to me that much. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter in general. So, you know, it's like, just enjoy life, man. Fucking enjoy life, you know. That's and enjoy every fucking bite. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at food, and I'm serious too. I'm not saying this for the video. I've never even said it before, but it's so fucking true. That's the way I live. You know. So, and I think that's and I kind of learned that from other people around the world. You know, like watching them eat. You know, watching other people. Like I've lived in a lot of places. I've traveled a lot, and I've watched people eat a lot. You know, because you're in these new places. They're eating different food, and you're watching them. Right? You know what I mean? Right, freedom, risk, responsibility. Absolutely, man. That's so true. Oh, Eddie Imperial, that is so true. It is not about going out and being an idiot. And I talk about this a lot, actually. You know, yeah, hell yeah, go get some, man. Get some popcorn, man. Yeah, you know, like, you know, when people come to Thailand, they often start drinking like really heavily, and they stop, you know, caring about their body, and they start basically doing unhealthy shit, you know. Just because they're in Thailand, right? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, this guy's jamming away. This guy's, he's cranking away. That's why I like to have seen him swim there, you know. You know, seeing people eat, yeah, it can turn you off, you know. Definitely. In China, I lived in China for 10 years, you know, and I remember some people, you know, eating bones and throwing bones on the ground in the restaurant, you know what I mean? Personal grooming, I learned a long time ago. My mentor, Don, taught me so much. And, you know, one thing he taught me, so if you go back to my first 2 episodes, Ronin Man episodes, somewhere around there, I talked about my mentor, Don, you know, that really taught me so much about life and women and money and everything, is he said to me, because I was spending money on like fancy clothes, and I was like, I don't know, I'd go, like, I'll give you an example. I would go buy some clothes, right? And I was shitty at picking out clothes. I still kind of am, but I would be there and I'd be like, see some like red pants or something, you know, and I'd be like, oh, that's kind of different, you know, or yellow or whatever, you know, or green suit or something. And I thought, oh, it kind of caught my eye. I'd buy it, you know, and then Don Magic Wand, that guy's the man, you know, and I'd buy it. And then I'd be like, then afterwards, I thought like I didn't even know what a man was at that time. Like, what is a fucking man? I had no idea. I didn't know what a man was. I didn't know how to live as a man, you know. And Don basically said, look, what are you wearing all this fucking fancy shit for? Like, basically, like, you know, like, dress conservative, you know, keep your hair short, and, you know, don't go crazy on things like tattoos, you know, wear a collared shirt, keep yourself clean, And what Don told me, which was very true actually, is he said, keep yourself clean. And if you think, he said, look, just think about this. Imagine you're a girl for a minute, right? And would you want to basically get intimate with some dude who smelled? No, but would you care if he had a silk shirt? No, you wouldn't fucking matter. Hikikomori, I know a lot about them, and it's like, I thought to myself, if I was a girl, what would I, what kind of guy would I like? And I wouldn't really care if the guy was, if I was a chick, I would not care. And even as a guy, I don't really care so much about what the girls wear. I care a lot more about, shaving, right? And being basically groomed, that's very attractive. If a girl is really smelly, that's not attractive at all. Yeah, she could be super sexy, body, but if she's really smelly, I don't know, it's not that hot, just being clean, just being clean is a good thing. Basic grooming. I mean, if you look at medicine, medicine came from grooming. Soap was one of the biggest advances of all time. And the idea that bacteria causes infections, nobody even understood that. Sean Connery, I tell you something, I posted a video. You should watch that video about Sean Connery and women. That's a very good video. I posted it from MGTOW 101. I mean, not that I'm saying I agree with everything he's saying or nothing like that. It's worthwhile, though. It's a very worthwhile video. Now, I think smell is a very big deal. Now, I think women don't. It's complicated. Yeah, it's definitely complicated. I'm not saying that you can't ever smell. I mean, I've come out of the gym and I've been running and stuff, and I've had girls just go crazy. Be totally stoked on doing everything with me when I'm all sweaty. So I mean, girls, I think there's a bit of they like the masculine part too. So it depends on how horny they are, what's going on in their life, right? But if they, can you guys hear me? Is the connection bad? How bad is the connection? Can you hear me? All right, sounds like the connection is not good. Oh, I'm good now? Okay. It died for a second. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, man, just stay clean. Just basically stay clean. Don't try to be a woman when you dress, Don't try to be a woman. That's my basic advice, Just be a simple guy. The way a guy looks doesn't influence women that much. So don't try to, I would say don't make a big deal out of standing out. That's the way I look at it, and I know a lot of guys, everybody thinks differently. That's just my viewpoint. Don't worry about how you look that much. But I'll tell you one thing. I do have one strong opinion about dressing, is that, okay, what do you guys think about this? This is one thing I've thought about for a long motherfucking time, is people spend so much money. Women spend money on makeup, right? Everybody spends so much money on clothes, right? The number one fucking thing you can do to be attractive is work on your body. I mean, I know friends that they'll spend tons of money to cover up their belly, right? They'll get a shirt, they'll go through a million shirts, they'll end up with a fucking really expensive suit or something to cover up their belly, right? But when you take off the clothes, they look like shit, right? Basically, be attractive naked. That's one thing. And then dress simple. But if you want to be attractive, that's the way you do it. Your body has to be attractive to be attractive. I mean, I got friends that are so rich and they basically can buy anything they want, literally anything they want. But they start to get fat. They start to get, they lose it, right? They lose that kind of edge. And, in the end, they're just not attractive. You look at some dude in the ghetto, this skinny guy who's fucking running around. That's attractive, right? That's fucking attractive, right? So be more like the 60s, be more like the radicals in the 60s than the fat businessman, right? Think that, and you'll be more attractive. If you work on your body and you put that money into getting your body in shape, eating the right foods, you will be way more fucking attractive. The clothes, all they do is cover up the body. The body is what's attractive, just like for women, right? We don't really care what they're wearing. Once they take it off, if they look great, we're stoked, right? We're totally stoked, And same with us. How you look naked is basically the thing you should really work on, And then also what's inside your body, how your organs are working and how, how everything's working, how you feel mentally, your brain. If you eat tons of crappy stuff, your brain's going to be all feeling like shit, right? if you're taking like depression pills because you eat shitty food and then you feel bad about yourself and like things just get worse and worse and worse, that's not the way you want to go, man. Yeah, health is wealth. Absolutely. Put your money into your body, into your food, into creating your mind, studying, and then you will be more attractive. That is a guarantee. That is a fucking guarantee. And everybody's on the wrong track. They're basically, guys are like girls. Girls are trying to like put makeup on, fake up on, and they're trying to like fake you out, right? Guys are doing the same fucking thing. Same exact thing. Except they're doing it with clothes, haircuts, tattoos, whatever. Work on your body, work on yourself, and the benefits are fucking huge, you guys. Who even cares if anybody appreciates? It doesn't even matter. Like, you will feel better. You will look at yourself and feel better. Like, I like it when I feel better. When I look at myself and like at night, I'm like, all right, man, things are going all right, Things are going all right, And I feel good about myself. That's worth $1 million right there. It is. So stress is another thing too. Stress is not good, not good. Because that influences how you feel and how you look too, right? Yeah, makeup, makeup, but like I said, guys are doing the same thing. When they spend their money on their car, when they spend their money on their clothes, and they, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like, it's like, a car is kind of like makeup too, for a dude, Focus on yourself, improving yourself, your mind, your body, your brain. Fucking work on that shit, Walk is awesome. I walk like crazy. You know what you can do, AK, you know what you can do is to walk. Walk is one of the most underappreciated exercises of all. That's why I do the videos walking, That's why I do all these walking videos, because I walk all the fucking time. So I figured, why don't I just film while I'm walking? And actually, one of my friends, one of the guys one of the young guys who was in a lot of my original videos, is a good friend of mine. He told me to walk around and make videos because I was already walking around with him all the time. He said, why don't you make a video, right? So, walk around, keep yourself fucking good, man. Don't be like girls. Don't think of your car as your makeup. Don't think of your clothes as your makeup. Don't think of flashy things. Like, just build your life like a fucking brick wall, brick by brick. A good brain, a good body, good food going in there, improving yourself, better friends, better, like goals, and deciding what you want to do. Like, maybe you want to come to Thailand and live here for a year or two, Do that. Fucking make that plan and go do it, That's the shit, man. That is the shit. Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. People waste. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. There's so many people just, yep, that's true, man. Guys are doing the same thing. Still want to bang women? Nothing wrong with you want to bang women. There's nothing wrong with that. Go bang some women. It's all good. All right, guys. Well, I guess I'll head off here. I'm gonna got a shit ton of stuff to do because I'm leaving tonight. I'm flying out tonight, so I will be doing a bunch of stuff today. And thanks so much for all your fucking all the ideas and communication and sharing here we had. It's been great, you guys. I wasn't doing live before, man. This is like fucking awesome, and you guys are fucking dope. AK, Eddie Imperial, you guys, everybody in NYC, Korean MGTOW, Slappy Bukake, all you dudes. Agokate, you're always around, man. That's fucking great. Cannonball in the pool. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna fucking work my ass off and go to the fucking sauna and get out of here and get some good food with a good friend of mine. And Chris is gonna come over. We're gonna go munch out some food. So, all right, guys, have a good one, and hope those ideas were helpful. All right, see you soon. All right, JF, see you later. See ya.